I can't stream on my channel.
Oh, see. Okay, we're live. Hello. Welcome back to a stream on the Demotivated channel, because I haven't been able to stream for a while because of the strike I got on my video of Richard Spencer being punched in the head to Slayer. It got me a strike, so now I can stream again.
That's amazing.
You see that video? I don't know.
No, I've seen a lot of the Richard Spencer punch memes. I actually got recently got a strike for a year-old video where I drew Muhammad. I photoshopped Sargon's beard onto Trump's face, and then put a little name tag on him saying Muhammad, and that seemed to get me a strike.
Right. Because, I mean, that's like a pretty non-regressive thing to do, isn't it? So, I mean...
I know. I'm such a social justice warrior.
But, yeah, it was like Richard Spencer being punched in the head, but to Slayer, and, you know, it's got that real fast double bass, so it was like... And his head's, like, going back and forth and shit. And it was going semi-viral. I was up to, like, 50,000 views, and then it got me a strike. And it said that it was for bullying, which, I don't know, I guess I was kind of bullying Richard Spencer a little bit. It was kind of mean, so I was like, maybe that's fair. But they got me a strike, but now I can stream again, and I've been keen on talking to this person. I don't know. People probably already know who you are. Just introduce yourself if you've got to...
I am formerly Spinosauruskin. Now I'm Alternative Facts on YouTube. And yeah, I talk about stuff.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I'm also an evil, regressive social justice warrior who is secretly trying to undermine the culture war or something. I don't understand this stuff. All I did was like criticize some like hypocrisy that certain anti-social justice warriors were going on, and then now I'm a pariah. Great.
Yeah, because I mean, you've come from a kind of anti-feminist place, I suppose, because you were like MRA. Do you still consider yourself an MRA?
I still consider myself an MRA, but not an anti-feminist anymore.
Okay. And I guess because you've been getting into conflict with some of the larger like thought leaders or whatever on the anti-feminist, anti-social justice side, now you're considered persona non grata over there or something. You're just like regressive trash or some shit. But I was wondering how much that has impacted your views in terms of being an anti-feminist or like being an anti-social justice warrior or whatever.
In terms of being an anti-feminist, my change sort of occurred a little before that, but this has definitely cemented it, in all honesty. I don't want to be associated with this kind of group.
Well, you don't want to be like associated with like a certain bunch of people, but has that changed your like actual points of view?
Not hugely. If anything, it's at best extremely minor changes to my points of view. I haven't changed what I stand for. I've just, you know, I've changed my perspective on things, like on who I'd rather support and things like that.
Right, but I mean something like, you know, the gender pay gap or some shit, or patriarchy.
I actually think the one thing that with the gender pay gap, and this is the something I just found out recently, and it was something that happened recently, is there was a court ruling in the US that that just basically said that if you are already paying someone unfairly, then it's completely legal to continue doing it. So that is something that made me sort of do a bit of a double take when it comes to the pay gap issue. I still think it's mostly overstated. Like the main stats, like the 77 to 80% figures, are still generally not taking into account a lot of factors. But at this point, there's and I think it should be taken on a case-by-case basis, but in this case it's now literally saying it's legal to do it as long as you were already doing it.
I just realized that this video is still private, so I've got to make it public.
Oh.
So that people can actually watch it. So there we go.
Now
people should be able to see it now. Yeah, we were privated, so no one could even see that we were talking. Okay.
Lol.
That's better. Okay, so I guess for people who want to see that, so you think there's validity to some areas of the gender pay gap, but has your overall position been impacted at all by, I don't know, fighting with people who, I guess, are completely against the idea of it even existing?
No, I don't really tend to change my my view on a specific topic by purely because of the people who are purely because of the people who agree with me on it. It's I just think like like a lot of the things that would have been factually true 2 years ago aren't true anymore.
Yeah,
and I think that's like the general political context has just completely changed in the past 2 or 3 years. So I think that there's a lot of things that I think people do need to. People have changed as well, like not just in terms of their political opinions, but it's things like the rise of Trump and the alt-right. It's made me reassess a lot of my priorities.
Yeah, but it's funny because I feel like you're entering this more, I don't know, progressive realm at a time when, for example, the buzz phrase of like regressive has died down, because like 2 years ago I couldn't say a single thing about anything without being called a regressive. It was just like fucking everywhere. But it seems like now it's not so popular, but social justice warrior is still very popular. So I think you are being seen as like a social justice warrior now, whatever that means. It just means that you're not a good person or something. I don't know. I can't really keep track of the fucking buzz phrases and virtue signaling and, you know, all that shit. You know, now people are more willing to say those things about you, especially like if you ever hang out with me or you, I don't know, don't bag on YouTube feminists as much. Everyone's just going to be like regressive SJW something, virtue signal, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really bagging on YouTube feminists as much recently anyway. So
yeah,
like I said, I think my priorities have changed when it comes to a lot of these issues.
Well, I think the two threats in the world are social justice and Islam. Those are like the two big things, basically. And I don't really see how those are equivalent. I know that I'm regressive scum, so I would probably have a different opinion about why Islam is so fucked up, besides just the doctrine, which is another element of it. But I cannot see how that could possibly be as influential as social justice. I guess in social justice, like in daily interactions, people will annoy you by saying you're doing a microaggression or something, or maybe you'll get in trouble at work more easily because someone will say you're a misogynist or racist or something. And maybe at a university, they won't let Ann Coulter speak or something like that, you know? But how's it equivalent to Islam or like bigger. A caliphate or whatever it is, or theocracy, you know? You think it's bigger than that?
I mean, one of the biggest issues I still have with I guess I'm going to call it the regressive left, because it's as much as the buzz phrase has been overused, I think it's a much more accurate and useful term than social justice.
I don't even believe in the phrase regressive left. I think it's just, I guess it's maybe I've been the subject of being called that so much. Just when you're trying to have a dialogue or a conversation about something, they're like, you're so regressive, or whatever. It kind of shuts down the conversation. And to me, it's like something that I can't connect with, but maybe you see it as being more useful.
Have you heard of a woman called Sally Cohn?
Yeah.
Like,
or Melissa Perry, whatever fucking Harris Perry.
Yeah. Have you heard some of the things she said about Sharia law? that it sort of and I do hear like some sort of quite progressively types who will try to defend things like Sharia law and sort of more radical forms of Islam and conservative forms of Islam in an attempt to sort of defend Muslims as individuals and as people. And I understand, like, to an extent, that there are individuals who will sort of overstate the harm that Islam and Muslims cause, but I think that there is a level of that they are understating the problem at the same time. So, like in the UK, we have these sort of off the books courts. They're the Sharia courts. They're the system, and they and the government has just pretended that there's no problem with this, even though they're mostly dealing with things like divorce and marriage and stuff, and they give some questionable settlements to women who end up getting divorced, and they don't recognize things like marital rape and things like that. So it's a genuine problem, but our government is just completely unwilling to talk about it.
Right.
So, and it's not just, but the thing is, it's not just the left wing that's the problem. One of the biggest, one of the Home Secretary at the time, who was doing an investigation into it, is Theresa May, who is now our Prime Minister and the candidate for the Conservative Party. So I think this stems a lot more from just general establishment politics than necessarily left-wing politics.
One of the issues with the word regressive that I find objectionable, I can't speak, is that it seems to be ascribing to the person some kind of will or desire to actually regress, whereas it seems more that it's the person calling the other person regressive who's putting that that idea that person actually wants to regress. Like when Sally Cohn is saying these, you know, lovely things about, I don't know, Sharia courts that she shouldn't necessarily say, that she's got some kind of plan to be like, don't look over here because I want women to be oppressed or something. Like she obviously doesn't want that. She's just I understand.
I understand that, but at the same time, it's sort of like
well, she'd be like, I want to respect their culture and shit, but she might not necessarily see that respecting that culture is easily respecting something that oppresses women and is extra legal and is not something you should be encouraging. But I'm sure she doesn't have this mindset like, oh, I can't wait for women to be oppressed by these things. You know?
Oh, of course not. But then I think a lot of misogynistic types would also like even like just general people who generally advocate for more like for taking away women's rights. A lot of the time, they're not actively trying to oppress women. They don't think that they're oppressing women. Right. They think that they're helping women.
Yeah.
So I think just in the same way that you would. In the same way that you would call someone
traditionalists or conservatives, they don't think that they're going back to a time when women had fewer rights. They're thinking like, this is nice. This is like that people really enjoy.
Yeah, and I think the term regressive is it's more describing their behavior rather than their intentions.
Right. No, I mean, you know, if it was used in the kind of way you're describing, I think that would be okay. But I think like the way that Majid Nawaz described it was like people who, in their desire to accommodate for other cultures and ideas, bend over backwards to accommodate. I think that's partly just like PC liberals, people who are like really PC. They're really worried about offending everybody. And that's why I thought regressive was somewhat redundant, because you can just say it's like a PC liberal or something. They already had that phrase. But
yeah, but then again, like the whole PC thing is very often misappropriated. So you'll have people like Trump will be like, oh, it's not politically correct to say like climate change is a hoax, and it's like, well, yeah, I know, because it's not that it's not politically correct; it's just not correct. And so I think
that's true for both. It's not politically correct and it's also incorrect, isn't it? Both.
I would disagree that it's not part of the cultural zeitgeist to say that climate change is a hoax at the moment.
Yeah, if you go on like TV or something and you're like climate change is a hoax or whatever, that won't be politically correct. People say, what were you doing having that psycho loony on your show? I'm going to boycott your bullshit television show or whatever. And I think that's a legitimate way of using politically incorrect. Like, you don't think so?
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, progressive to me is like somebody who is going to bend over backwards to accommodate for that culture, you know? And I don't know if regressive is the right word for that because it's too broad, because you can apply that to all kinds of other things. Like just, you know, regression, it's a very literal word, you know, going backwards. And if they start a caliphate in, I don't know, in the UK, like it's not going backwards in the UK because it's kind of like a new thing. That's like, we're going to go to a new caliphate situation in the UK, which has never existed and would be regressing in terms of rights and shit, but that'd be a whole new thing. That'd be like the new Islam order or something. You know, which would be horrible.
It's progressive.
Yeah, progressing in the caliphate that we didn't have previously, but you'd be regressing on the human rights. So I don't know. I guess it's just the semantical game of that whole pejorative.
Yeah,
flying back and forth.
I guess this is the problem of like just general definition of progressive and regressive in the first place, and like just the general meanings. It's like in one way something can be progress, and in another way it can be regress. So
yeah.
Well,
and the other thing is, it's not a self-identifying label. I always thought that if progressives are doing things that are regressive and going backwards and look bad, that should be self-evident over time, and progressive should become like a dirty word, or you know, you're a progressive, you know, just like you're right wing, you know.
Well, actually, I think that's a problem due to the fact that progress is like sort of inherently a good thing.
So it would ruin the word progressive, I guess. But
yeah, it would ruin the word progressive or progress.
You know, progressives just want to progress to a place where pedophiles can freely express their love for children and shit like that. You know, so they're already trying to poison the word progressive. But I mean, that's straw man.
I'd rather there be a pejorative that sort of differentiates progressives, like the bad progressives from the good ones, rather than sort of a blanket attack on progress.
Right. Well, I mean, if the word regressive was somehow used accurately in all cases, the people that we would use the word on to describe as regressive would be completely different and would have a completely different cultural landscape at the moment. You know, because a lot of the people who are like the anti-regressives have a lot of views that are quite conservative and that I would consider rather regressive. So I would say, you are the regressive. And then they would say, calling me regressive, that's just a buzz phrase, you SJW. And then we just fling shit at each other for like 3 hours.
Yeah, I guess. But I think it's actually, I think you're right that that it's like effectively the like the hardcore traditionalist right is were the original regressives, which and I think that's the reason they called it the regressive left rather than just regressivism in just in general, because.
Even with Islam, a lot of it for me is conservative Muslims versus more liberal Muslims and the liberal Muslims may still have feminist buzzword, some problematic beliefs, but they're a lot preferable to conservative Muslims who are going to read it in a much harsher way, you know? So for me, that issue is less like, all of these Muslims are regressives or whatever. It's more like there are conservative Muslims who really want to go to a more backwards time, and which in its own way is kind of regressive. And then there are liberal Muslims who are not perfect and we might have issues with, but who we should encourage, you know?
Better than the alternative.
Right. Yeah. But isn't that the exact problem that we're facing with this whole social justice warrior versus anti-social justice warrior thing? because I suppose we might as well talk about the video. Like Kraut made this Kraut and T I don't know what the fuck he is. This guy made a video just like attacking the anti-social justice community or SJWs or whatever. And the whole thing was just like SJWs are like this big amorphous blob of evil. And if you have any kind of vague beliefs that are similar to that or vague connection to any of those people in that YouTube realm, you are evil, you've got a black soul, and you believe in A, B, C, D, F, and G, and they're all these hideous, horrible things. You condone all of those things. And that's a problem with buzz labels, buzz phrases, tribalism, groupthink, where everybody just gets put into this cauldron. It's just like, you're all evil, you know? And I don't see anti-social justice people in that fashion, you know? I'm friends with like Shoe on Head. I think she's quite cool, even though I disagree with her a lot. I'm kind of friendly with Chris Raygun, and then there's like Bearing, who I think is a hot pile of turds, and then Undoomed, who I think is trash, and then there's another guy, Suit Yourself. He seems okay. We talk every now and then. Bane 666. Sometimes I talk to him. He seems cool. I don't just say you're all evil, you know. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think it's counterproductive to just like I think generalizations are just a sort of a necessary evil of just human cognition. But when it comes to but I think there's overgeneralizations. There's when you're taking it way too far, and I think that was what Kraut did in that video. Not to mention the multitude of times where he just outright misrepresented people.
I mean, would you say the anti-social justice community is now like Thunderfoot says, like, it's toxic, it's a toxic stew of demons? Like, would you agree with that? Or?
I think that the like generally the community has gotten significantly more toxic over time, and it's not something I want to associate myself with anymore.
Right. So an anti-SJW, I mean, I guess it's in the name that I'm making a video about this now where I talk about it a little bit. Like, anti-SJW is someone who is specifically against that thing. So there's like a specific thing they're against, exactly like anti-feminists. And I guess that makes it easier to identify their actual views. But they also have some kind of voodoo about how they identify SJWs. So I don't know how it's all decided. I feel like someone has to go, I'm an anti-SJW. But like, okay, thank you for telling. No one ever says, hi, I'm an SJW. Who says that?
It only seems to be something that someone will say in like in jest.
Yeah, ironically or something.
Yeah,
I just watched Contra's new video, and he seemed to use it unironically. He was like, the SJWs do this and the SJWs do that, and I was like, that's weird. Because he's one of the few social justice people I've noticed using it unironically, just in his latest video. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gotten to the point where it's sort of lost its lost the like ability to insult with. So I think people are starting to sort of take it on as their own and reclaim the label almost.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, in Contra's case, I think he just wasn't thinking about it. I think he was just like, because you get so used to everybody calling everything social justice warrior or whatever, that it's easy to just forget that it's bullshit, and then you just say it. Like, oh yeah, I'm with the SJ, I'm one of the social justice warriors, and you forget, like, wait, it's a bullshit pejorative term. Yeah, it's easy to forget that.
Yeah, that's also entirely possible.
But I mean, so you're an SJW now.
Well, I don't know. I guess I might be. I mean, in all honesty, I've always been very socially progressive, and my issue with I guess quote unquote social justice warriors was that what was really I thought they were going about progress in the wrong way. I'm still not really a massive fan of things like hate speech laws and censorship, and I still have my issues with certain things that do occur within feminist circles, but in all honesty, I think I've reprioritized and redirected my my sort of what I'm more interested in attacking right now at the right, because the right has significantly more power. So Trump is in office. The Conservative Party are expected to win. So
yeah, I mean,
I really
Southern
don't
America,
see...
is that what the left is ascendant to in terms of politics? I guess because New Zealand has conservative government, Australia has conservative government, UK has conservative government, Canada's got Trudeau, I guess.
Yeah, I think Canada's the only one with like an openly left-wing leader.
And then there's Southern America, like those various countries, and Cuba or something. Yeah, but the vast majority of governments worldwide, well, no, actually not vast majority, but just most powerful and influential governments are right-wing.
The relevant governments, the ones that are that I consider relevant to things that I'm interested in are...
Well, I would call Russia right-wing. China.
Oh yeah,
I'm not really sure. China, it's hard to tell. They're a bit mysterious to me. China. I don't really know. They've got communist roots, but I'm not really like, I would need someone who knows more about China to talk about that. So
yeah, same.
But I find it curious, like, you know, before you're kind of like everybody's just a regular friend, and now all of a sudden you've got this agenda to side with social justice warriors like me, I guess, and other random people, and hatch an evil plan of some kind. And we were joking about that earlier on Twitter, trying to figure out what the hell our evil plan is.
Our evil plan is clearly that we've already, like, I'm not the only mole within the anti-social justice community. It's like it's all of them. All of the YouTubers right now. Sargon's actually a secret social justice warrior. So is Kraut. So is Uzulu. Uzulu's got the great plan to basically argue against morality, and he's trying to just make the anti-social justice community look evil from the inside. Yeah, he's a secret social justice warrior.
And I guess the plan was to get Thunderfoot and Cult of Dusty and others to turn against them. So now it's just like a shit-flinging contest of some kind. Right, yeah, Thunderfoot and Sargon is, you know, slogging it out, basically.
Fun.
Fuck, I forgot to ask you about the culture war. What's the culture war? What's that all about?
I still don't know. I still don't know. It's it's just like it seems to be like a general fight against anyone Sargon deems an SJW. That seems to be what the culture war is at this point. And I
think I know what it is. I think it's people who want to say whatever they want to say whenever. In terms of like they want to say like offensive shit, they want to say edgy shit, they want to have harsh opinions, fighting against the people who will say they're misogynist or racist or sexist or any of those things. You know, because I feel like Kraut's mind exploded when people called him racist. You notice, like, when he's going on at Sean and Jenna shit, he's always bringing up, like, who called me a racist? He thinks I'm a racist. And then all his buddies decided to get together and say Kraut is racist and all this kind of shit. And I feel like that's the main thing. Like, they want to fight against the people who call them racist and also who go to rallies and yell a lot and have funny haircuts. And I thought that's what's going on. You don't reckon? Or is it more? Is there more than that?
I don't know. I think that's a pretty good marker of what's going on, to be honest. It does seem to be people who just want it's edgelords versus people who actually give a fuck.
Right, and then also there are like feminists and people who overreach, and then they're like, they may want to shut down things that don't necessarily need to be shut down, or they may yell down people who it's not really fair in that context to yell them down. And then they may punch people who I disagree with punching in that context. And
well, I think this is the point. I think this is the main point, though. That in all honesty, this is why the us versus them thing that I started seeing people like Sargon do really bothered me, because there is no sort of like homogenous them, and arguing and trying to like make out that there is one, that there is this sort of like homogenous enemy, is a really like dangerous path to go down. It never ends well.
Would you apply that to, because I know that the comeback would be, but they're calling everybody racist and they're saying they're all Nazis and they want to punch everybody, and they're saying all Trump supporters are bad people, and would you agree from that angle as well?
There are people like that, and I oppose those kinds of people, but I don't feel the need to then homogenize it to an entire like to this sort of like entire group. I think that's more counterproductive than anything else.
Well, I mean, there was this girl I was talking to, and then she was like, on Twitter, and she was like, "Oh, my boyfriend is a white nationalist." And I was just like, like instantly, I was like, "Oh my god, you're going out with this someone who's a racist piece of shit." Just from hearing the phrase "white nationalist," but she's like, "No, he's really nice. He's not. She said he's really nice. He's a lovely guy, but he is racist." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, and you're with him? Okay, well, fine." But I can't help but judge. I can't help but be like, that person sounds like a piece of shit. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm supposed to throw out my principles and values on thinking racism is bad and be like, that's great. I mean, everyone should go out with white nationalists. Does that make me prejudiced against white nationalists?
No, and I think because if you're going to have like certain views, especially when it comes to sort of ideological racism, then it's going to affect how you interact with people. It just does. It affects how you interact with people in the real world. So making out that that like it's prejudice to be it's sort of like imagine I was against people who believed I can't think of anything right now. I don't know. Children wanted to kill him. All children were like inherently dangerous and wanted to kill him. Then every time he saw a kid, he was just he was like inherently hostile to them. That's a behavior that I can't really I can't really associate myself with. I can't just like support a kid like that. Right. I can't support a person like that. So in the same way, if they have a similar views on black people or Arabs or something like that, then it's a similar case. And just because it's also got some political connotations, I don't think that it's inherently a bad thing to sort of like dissociate with from someone who is actually going to treat people badly.
Right. But I'm sure there's a group or a bunch of white nationalists who think being white nationalist doesn't make them like a bad person at all, and they're still reasonable, and it's just the left is so intolerant to them because they hate freedom and that kind of crap. You know, who genuinely believe that, not in a kind of ironic way or whatever, but actually think like, oh, I've got the right beliefs and I'm not a racist. I just care about my country and I care about making America great and I care about making things better. And those people, I do feel, I mean, they don't respond well to being called racists, even if they are a racist, which is why I try to avoid calling people racist, because they do shut down and they get very defensive. But at the same time, I mean, I have limits where I just have to say, you're too racist for me to really associate with, you know?
Yeah.
But I definitely know some people online who seem mildly racist to me. and I still talk to them. I'm just gonna leave it secret who they are.
Yeah, like I can still sort of like be on good terms with someone I think is racist, but I don't necessarily think that that's someone I'd really want to be seen in public with.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that's a natural human reaction, in my opinion. I think that's something we're allowed to, like freedom of association.
Well, it's like, like on Kraut and Tea, I've received a lot of pressure from various people on my side to call him racist and stuff, and I didn't really call him racist and it was mainly because I saw his tweets, I saw his racist tweets and him liking racist stuff, but the line between the edgelording and the racism sometimes gets blurred to me, and then I think, if I just dismiss somebody as a racist, they're not necessarily, like, it will just make them more intense about it, and it'll make them edgelord even more about it, and it'll make them more resistant to any kind of conversation. That was my reasoning, but then a lot of people on my side were like, Tim, I can't believe you won't say Kraut's racist. I'm so disappointed in you. Like, I believed in you, Tim. Like it's the magic words,
Yeah, there's a this is the problem. It's like sometimes you do really want to have a conversation with Kraut. I don't think he's a racist. You could argue that he is bigoted against Muslims, but it's clearly not based upon race.
Well, I mean, Sean and Jen explained it in a really good way. He just said, if you're saying really racist stuff and you have racist tweets, then you are a racist, and that's the way that he put it. Whereas for me, it's more like he could easily, definitely be a racist. I haven't seen enough of his views on race, but yeah, I mean, a racist person would say that kind of stuff, but we do live in the age of like memes where people are trying to be edgy, and he is fucking stupid. So there is that. So
yeah,
it's like, is he super racist, or is he just fucking stupid and trying to edge?
Yeah,
or is it a mix? It's probably a mix.
Yeah, I also think he has he clearly has significant anger issues as well, and he's a hardcore edgelord. So I mean, when you mix those two things together, you're going to expect some. You need to kind of expect a bit of ambiguous ambiguity with their views on race.
Right. Well, I mean, I disagree regularly with people about, I guess, tactics of how you talk to people who disagree with you and stuff. I don't necessarily think it's that useful to just be like, you're being transphobic, you're being misogynist, you're being racist, etc., even if I think they are, because of the whole being able to have a dialogue aspect, because then they turn more rabid and it's impossible to talk to them. But at the same time, I respect people who will just openly be like, you're transphobic, or you're misogynistic. I'm not going to judge them for doing that,
Yeah, I won't judge someone if I actually like agree with them on the topic.
Yeah, I just won't necessarily say that, even though a lot of people on my side want me to say that. They want me to be like, you're a fucking racist, and then that's it. It's kind of like saying like Islamic terrorism is the magic word. It's like saying racist is the magic word, And I don't necessarily agree that the outcome of that is as useful as the people who want me to say it is. I don't know. I'm torn.
There's more.
Fucking liberalism. Oh, why can't I be an anarchist? Why can't I be Antifa?
It's so much. It sounds so much simpler to be an Antifa member. It's just like everyone's a Nazi, and then you can just punch them all, and you don't have to get into like actual complicated issues.
But like I said, I might think like, wow, that person is racist scum. But I won't think it's useful to just say, you are racist scum. I'll try to argue with them. I'll try to actually get somewhere with them. Even though that doesn't necessarily work, because then they go psychotic because other people call them racist and shit their pants in the form of a ridiculous video that is terrible. And then all of their buddies and jerk-off fans will come together and circle jerk over the video about like, oh yeah, he's really exposed all of those people, and it's like, how can you actually have a dialogue in this climate?
Yeah, I mean, like pretty much all of those tweets, he didn't even like, because he showed an example of an inner partisan talking, calling Count Dankula Nazi pug guy, and was like, oh, he's accusing him of being a Nazi, and it's like, that's what Count Dankula fucking calls himself.
Yeah, the Nazi pug guy.
He is the Nazi pug guy. Like, yeah. So why like this doesn't make sense.
Well, I seriously think it's just because they called him racist, and I don't know enough about the German laws or whatever to know how much of an impact randoms on Twitter and YouTube calling him racist is, like how impactful that is for his actual life. But I do know it's not helped by raging out on Twitter and saying tons of racist shit, and that's kind of like your responsibility. That's something you chose to do. That's not other people. That's your choice to make tweets like that. You know?
Yeah, it's Kraut is his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
When it comes to this stuff.
Well, I'm keen to talk to people, but I mean, certain people like Dave Rubin and Sargon of Akkad or whatever, once they decide that you are beneath them and you're not worthy of the great mantle of these true liberals or whatever the fuck they are, then they just block you. You know?
Oh yeah, we're both blocked by Sargon.
Yeah, I mean, I understand how that makes sense, and the way that it was justified to me from Sargon was, I got blocked, and then people were relaying to me what he said, and he was all like, "Oh, I'm just doing to him what his side does to us, or what they do to us, or like how they shut down speech." And to me, that's not justification. That's just saying,
I'm a hypocrite. That's pretty much it.
Those people over there do something bad, so I'll do it too. Aha! And it's like, no, you're just doing that thing. You are just also doing that thing that you think other people doing is bad yourself. You know?
Yeah. It's being you're just being a hypocrite and being like, well, hypocrisy is okay because they do it.
Well, I was like, I don't block people. I had like no one on my block at the time. I had no one on my block list. I've blocked a few people recently, but that's just because they were gloating at me about my friend being killed. And it's just like, if you're gonna do that, I don't even want to talk to you.
Yeah, that's like an entirely reasonable reaction to that. But you know, that's just like SJW moral fagging. Why can't we laugh at the deaths of your friends? Because
yeah. But I mean, at that point with Sargon, I had nobody on my block list. I didn't block anybody. So it's like, well, I guess some people I know do that. I don't do that. How's that a justification for blocking me? And he never asked my views on like my friends or people I know blocking, which was always like, I respect their decision to do it, but I wouldn't do it myself. Like, it's not like, so it's not a tactic for me to block people. And this is just because he got so annoyed at me, like bugging him all the time about his making stupid statements, that he was just like, I have to find some stupid reason to block you, and it might as well be because your side does it. Block. Yeah.
That does seem to be the entire argument. Is it was an excuse.
Won't they just become what they hate?
Well, that's the point. Is that's kind of why one of my biggest fears has always been sort of that whole staring into the abyss thing, and becoming the monster.
It sounds funny. Like you wake up and you look in the mirror, you're like, I'm an SJW. Oh my god! Like you're flicking through your thing, and like everybody's blocked, and you're like, oh my god. And then you're like, and I just canceled my Netflix because of Dear White People. Oh my god, I'm an SJW.
Oh, that. I actually went and watched the original 2014 movie of Dear White People. I didn't like it, but mainly the reason I didn't like it was really the way it was edited, and just I didn't find it particularly entertaining.
Yeah,
But in
'cause
all honesty, it was like it wasn't actually that bad when it comes to politics.
it was very similar to Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee, if you've seen that.
I haven't.
That movie like jumps all over the place. It's got a lot of bits where it's just like lots of fast cuts and music, and then it cuts to random people talking at the camera, and then it cuts to the next scene, and it jumps around a lot, and it's very like
Yeah.
jerky, and it's kind of an acquired taste. You might not like it, and I felt like Dear White People was very similar to that. It jumped around heaps. It was kind of like it's kind of schizophrenic in a way, and I could see how that might
Yeah.
not be someone's like cup of tea. Yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah. My main criticism of it was that it was like genuinely a movie that was not particularly entertaining. But outside of that, I mean, it wasn't particularly radical in my opinion. Like the things it advocated, and at least within the setting, it was like what they considered racism was like legitimately racist. So.
Well, I actually found some complaints about it in terms of the fact that it represented basically all of the races involved in it in stereotypical ways. And that was part of how it was set up. It was supposed to do that. So it had like these really stupid white characters who embodied these white stereotypes of stupid jocks or some shit. And then there was like the black characters. Some of them acted like super, like, I don't know, ghetto, you know, stereotypical black person. And then I can't remember what the other race was. If it was another one, maybe Mexican or something. I can't remember. But it was an equal opportunity offender in terms of how it displayed the races. But some people were offended by how it displayed them. Like it was just offensive. Like it was all around just like lots of offensive portrayals of different races.
Yeah,
it would be it could offend, like there's equal opportunity. Like it could offend anyone, you know.
Yeah, it was sort of like inherently, it was sort of intentionally stereotypical, and I think that was part of like that. So I can understand it was almost part of the satire to do that.
Yeah, like any, I don't, because I can't remember how many races from the movie, but just about anybody could look at that and be like, that offends me in some way, like a white person or a black person or Asian. Probably, yeah, there's probably Asian people in it. I can't remember. Could be like, oh, there's something in the movie that offends me. But it seems like white people in particular, maybe just because of the title, and that it was a reference to the radio show of one of the characters, they got particularly offended, which was interesting.
Yeah,
more offended than anyone else did.
Yeah, well, that's I think that was the main thing that they didn't it was just because there's been a lot of there was also that, what was it called again? There was the BuzzFeed video that was called "Dear White People,"
Oh, yeah.
And that was like
along with like people talking to you, and they're like, "Hey, white people, I got some tips for you." Stupid.
Yeah, but then if you actually go and watch the movie, they do actually quite they're quite critical of that approach, and they sort of show how unproductive it is. So it's sort of like it's kind of like their outrage is very similar to the way Anita Sarkeesian, and I hate bringing her up. It's probably the first time I brought her up in the last like 50 years, but but in all honesty, like these like it's a very similar way, like just depicting something is inherently bad, and I'm very against that mentality.
But I'm open to the idea of something using stereotypes to make a point, having to do it in a careful way so that you're not just displaying stereotypes and that's all you're doing. But I do think there was a wider message in the film. I mean, there was some scenes, for example, when some in the movie where some like African American kids were like acting like, I don't know, almost like monkeys kind of, and like kind of harassing and beating up white people. And that could have been seen as like pretty offensive in its own way. But I guess it was counterbalanced by you know, just really generic, stupid white people in the movie too. So, but as you said, it wasn't necessarily like the best movie in terms of being a movie either. Like, it didn't really have much of a story. It was very rambly. Didn't really. The plot was just kind of disconnected.
I still couldn't couldn't follow any of it. I didn't know what the hell was going on most of the time, and there was a lot of they didn't really the characters were also a bit meh.
Yeah. Shoes in the chat, and she's hating on the way I awkwardly stare into the distance as his guest talks off camera.
Oh yeah, my camera's. I cannot put my camera here. I apologize.
I don't know. Like, I don't know where to look when I'm talking. Like, because if I look up here, I just have to stare up, and it's really awkward because my screen's down here. So I'd rather just look here. And then the wall is quite nice. You know, it's a beautiful whitish color. Oh, that's right.
Well, apparently you've got the camera set to just you, so no one can see me.
Yeah. Well, oh, I know what I was going to say. When you put up anti-Sarkeesian, despite the like massive break between Thunderfoot and Sargon, I find it funny that Thunderfoot's reference of terribleness is still anti-Sarkeesian. So he'll be like, Sargon's getting triggered. Who's like anti-Sarkeesian now? Oh yeah,
Sargon was doing the same thing and saying, "Oh, what you're doing to me is what you did to is what Sarkeesian did to video games." It's like, honestly, how far are you reaching?
But how
far are you reaching at this point?
Social justice warriors or whatever are the yardstick against which evil is judged, basically. So that's like the measuring stick. It's like, oh, you're acting just like an SJW. And it's like, oh, beheading people just like the SJWs do. I was like, wait, I think you got the wrong thing. You were thinking of ISIS. Like, oh, whoops. But it's always like,
but ISIS,
ISIS
are social justice warriors.
Are they? Are they Islamic justice warriors?
Yes.
They're God, why am I so stupid? IJWs. That's not so catchy. I'm an anti-IJW. Yeah, she's saying Thunderfoot connects everything to Anita.
Yeah, it's like, come on, the horse is dead. Can you stop? Can you stop just? Can you stop beating that like pile of mush on the ground?
Isn't she gone now? She's quit the internets after like taking everybody's money or whatever it is that she supposedly did.
I think she's still around, isn't she? Just like not particularly.
I do remember. This is completely off topic, but like Josh McIntosh, whatever the hell it is, making that video about how to be a man or something. Oh man, that was weird. Like, did you see that? When he's like,
"Oh no, I haven't seen that one."
He's all like, "We've got to talk about masculinity," and he's like, "Why do they say men can't cry and men can't this and men can't that or whatever?" But after a while, it was kind of weird because it was almost like he was pushing his own agenda for masculinity. You know, like masculinity should be this, it should be that, it should be what Josh McIntosh wants. And I feel like,
yeah, that's kind of one of the things I don't like about some feminist rhetoric on masculinity is because it feels like they're as much as they're saying like men are forced to behave X, Y, and Z, they're almost trying to like push their own agenda on men.
Well, he was definitely like overcompensating in the other direction, like we should change the concept of masculinity so much that it should be like this, and now I'm just telling you how to be a man. I was like, God damn it, Josh, leave me alone. Like, why are you doing this to me? You know. But by the same token, like, you know, the idea that men always have to be stoic and tough and can't have emotions and have to be, I don't know, homophobic, whatever, that's stupid too. But so is the idea that you like have to cry and you have to be sensitive and you have to like, you should be able to define masculinity in a way that is comfortable to you as an individual. Basically, I'd be like, God damn it, I have to cry in this movie because Josh McIntosh said I have to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, it shouldn't be about like like you have to like you should be crying and showing emotions in a certain way. It's like like if it's not gonna like actually hurt people, then you should then feel free to express your emotions in the way that you want to.
Totally.
And because there is a sort of aspect of that in schools. It's mostly an American thing, but they sort of like they basically drug boys who are a bit overexcitable, and it's like, come on, is that really the best way to be dealing with like hyper kids? Is to give them like ADHD medication? It's something like 1 in 5 boys are taking it in America because it's so over medicated. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the sort of amphetamines that they use are not they're not good for you. They have some serious side effects. So like that is like a genuine problem.
Yeah. I don't know why I was gonna be like, I think it's probably the Jews' fault somehow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Jews created feminism.
True that. Did someone say that?
Oh yeah, that's a common white nationalist point.
The Jews created feminism.
Yeah, that feminism is part of the Jewish conspiracy, because there's like they'll very often cite like the existence of Sarah Silverman, and the fact that like Karl Marx was a Jew, so therefore like and feminism is part of like cultural Marxism, so like therefore feminism is part of the Jewspiracy. It's
it's hilarious.
White nationalists.
So you're not. You said earlier you're not anti-feminist anymore. Is that because although you are critical of many of the ideas of feminism, like you don't think it's useful to have your self-identifier be anti this thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
But you would still be anti-feminist in some way.
In some way, yeah. I'm still. I would say I'm critical of feminism, and I wouldn't go as far as to say I am a feminist, but I'm still. I don't think I'm like generally in opposition anymore.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's gonna be a problem for you. You're gonna have to join the Christy Winters clique with me.
Oh God.
We just have to be best friends.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I'll just have to. I'm no longer. I'm on the other side in the culture war now.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not particularly sure what the outcome of the culture war is supposed to be.
Sargon said it's perpetual. He says there's no end to it. There's no end goal.
Well, that's another thing I was gonna ask you about. So there was an exchange between you and Sargon where he was like, "Ew, so Spino doesn't even believe in the culture war anymore," or whatever. And I think at the time you were like, "I never said that I didn't believe in a culture war or whatever." So like
there were really vague points like that like cultures like there are people who disagree on culture, so that can be arguably called a culture war. And it's like at that point it's like definitions. So I wasn't saying I was saying like it's not my main criticism is not about your like your issues with SJWs or anything. It was more I'm critical of the way that you're using them to justify certain behaviors and actions.
But that means like unless culture is more significant than the following examples, there could be a war about anything. Like people who disagree about food, there's like a food war. Or like people who I don't know prefer one product over another, there's a product war. I guess there is. I guess everything is a war.
The console war.
There's a console war. I mean, like
that's a legitimate term. It like the disagreements between
kind of downplay the significance of war, because I mean, a culture war. I mean, I guess if we're talking about, I don't know, ISIS fighting somebody, or an actual war between different cultures, then yeah. But just like stupid people on the internet whining about whether this person's racist or not, or like whether whether social justice is responsible for Trump, or like whether there should be butts in video games or some shit. How could you call that a war? That's just like it's like stupid people on the internet complaining all the time about everything. It's not a fucking war.
It's well, that's the point. So much of this is very petty in comparison to the grand scheme of things. So, my main issue was was the fact that the hyperbolic rhetoric was turning into this sort of justification for. It was something Sargon said in his response to me on the whole Milo thing. It was like, they are your enemy, so don't ever like denounce something that they want you to denounce, because that's because social justice warriors are bad, or something like that. And I'm like, what?
What you said just sounded like mush to me. I don't.
Yeah, because it is mush.
I don't even fucking understand it.
It's fluff. It's just pointless. It's mental gymnastics to try and justify basically being an asshole, and it's why I can't continue to support this stuff within the sort of anti-SJW side.
What do you think of the whole Lacey Green thing? Looks like she's. I don't know if it's true, but she looks like she's banging Chris Reagan now. I don't know.
Oh God.
Maybe she is.
In all honesty, I think the whole Lacey Green thing isn't the worst thing. When I first saw it, it was like, it looks like there's some real bridges being built, and that's like it's effectively the opposite of Sargon's culture war bullshit. So it's kind of actually a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe she's sort of not really particularly critical of the social justice of the anti-social justice side, which makes me think that maybe she's not letting on exactly how far she's gone to that side. But I don't know.
I was wondering what, this will be
they are dating. Oh, okay.
Are they?
Yeah.
It would be a very cynical view, but I just think about it for a moment. What if after she left MTV, she's just looking around where the audience was, and she's been kind of adrift for a year or so, and then she realized that that's where all the audience is on YouTube, and now so she's kind of justifying to herself, sort of going more into that area, kind of tap into that potential, and that's the cynical view.
It's a cynical view, and it's not necessarily I don't necessarily think it's without merit. It's just I would rather it just sounds a little uncharitable, and I'd rather give Lacey a bit more of the benefit of the doubt, because.
But the weird thing about it to me seems like she's gone from being super feminist and just anything feminists say is kosher and fantastic, to already going into this true centrist kind of mentality that any feminist who's criticizing anything she's doing, they don't like freedom of speech and they don't respect my self-expression, and I'm kind of the victim here, and they're such radicals and shit. And she's kind of gone fully into the other gear, which is kind of anybody who criticizes the way that I'm approaching things is unreasonable, and they don't like free dialogue and shit. And it's very similar rhetoric to the kind of stuff I see out of the anti-feminist side, and it just seems like such a radical shift, because I personally wouldn't give a shit what she does or who she talks to. It's just kind of irritating when she starts lecturing to people who criticize her. It's why can't people criticize what you're doing without you saying it's so unreasonable?
I think it would be very much worth if Lacey were not only talking to people who, because clearly she's it does appear that she's very new to the anti-social justice side.
But when she goes into something, she just dives in head first.
Yeah,
she's like,
she's diving in head first.
I'm gonna ban Chris Reagan. Okay, yeah. You can take it to that level if you want.
Yeah, yeah, she does also seem quite tired of the response video bullshit. So, like, addressing critics is probably worthwhile, and I think she should. It might also be worth. Like, it would be very much worth if Lacey were to start like looking into people who are also critical of the anti-SJW side. People who've actually been who have like some level of experience and know the people, and like, because I think that would also like be worthwhile. In the same way that it's worth being it's worth talking to people who are critical of feminism. It's also then like worth talking to people who are critical of them. And
is that? I mean, but that's somewhat of an ego thing, or somewhat of like a personal pride thing, that the moment you start getting pushback from a bunch of people about something you're doing, you're just like, look at how unreasonable and unfair all of these people are, and these critics, whatever. But I think it's better to be kind of open to it. Like, okay, maybe I should think about what I'm doing. Doesn't mean I have to change the way that I do everything, but just you take criticism on board. You're like, could I be approaching this in a better way? Or have I become kind of closed off to people who agreed with me before now? Am I kind of pushing them to one side too harshly? But she seems to have gone like head first in, like, people who criticize me are just being unreasonable. I think that's, I don't know.
It's not productive at best.
And
so
people can do things the way they want, obviously. That's just my 2 cents. It's just an irrelevant Kiwi man.
Irrelevant Kiwi man.
Yeah.
That should be your new channel name.
Irrelevant Kiwi man. Yeah, what's going on with this rebranding?
Oh, well, I've wanted to sort of change my my name on YouTube for a while, and I just thought because I've just sort of grown sick of the whole Spinosauruskin thing. I've had this username on basically everything for like since I was about 12, so 8 years, and I'm getting bored of it. And at the same time,
it just happens to coincide with you becoming a massive cuck.
The rebranding is something like it's something I've wanted to do for a while. It's just something that that because I've been sort of going in a new direction, I thought was like the right time to do it. Since like like most of the people who used to like me hate me now, so it's definitely worth changing a bit.
And you said you're going a more like progressive direction or something?
Oh yeah, definitely. And in a more sort of I'm going to be talking about more political issues rather than specifically social issues, and a lot less YouTube drama.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The YouTube drama is like a vortex that you cannot get out of.
Like, I'm trying my best.
It's never going to work.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Like people like. I mean, like, I haven't made a video about bearing in some time, but like people just go on and on and on and on about bearing to me, because it's like a sinkhole of drama that it's very hard to shake. And then everybody just remembers you for this one video you were in a while back to do with the person you were having a drama with. So for quite a while, you'll be like the person who had a fight with Sargon, or the person who was fighting with Kraut or some shit. I gotta start some shit with somebody else so I can get rid of the bearing thing.
Yeah. Do you want to take over Hard On for a Sad?
I don't know if I'm clever enough. I'm not. How do you run that thing? Like, what do you say? Just something sarcastic about Sargon's beliefs.
I don't know. I mean, Hard On for a Sad turned out to be so fucking accurate after Sean found his old conspiracy page.
Yeah. But it was a
on
massive
Facebook.
betrayal. So.
Oh yeah, the parody account. I didn't really like at first. It was more of a sort of like I thought of the whole thing as like a friendly jab, but I wanted to like gauge Sargon's reaction to it at first, and then it started like actually gaining traction.
Yeah,
and then by this point I wasn't really on good terms with Sargon. And he wasn't even replying to my messages. Because after the Milo thing, it was like he didn't even want to talk to me. So, yeah. Why would I have told him that I was like this parody account?
Well, I mean, that's one of the things about Sargon is he doesn't like humor if it's. I mean, I guess that's like most people or whatever, like at his expense. Or he's not in on the joke, or, you know, if it's not his style of humor and somebody is making it about him or to him, he has this like violently negative, figuratively violent, negative reaction to it. That he's disgusted. He's like, how dare you? This is the least funny thing I've ever seen. You are a terrible human being. Yeah. That kind of shit. Whereas I would probably tend to look at that and just think like, that's stupid, and then move on.
Yeah. And no, it's kind of annoying because like there's so many people who try to like retaliate against me and try to make a parody account so hard, and none of them are actually funny. It's I'm more offended by the fact that none of them are actually amusing. Like actually, one of them did make an amusing like Avi, which I stole. Yeah. I just stole the image from the parody account, and he was like, "Oh, well, you're not a hypocrite." Okay, I was actually genuinely surprised by that, and then he gained respect for me.
Yeah. Well, I think I would say like that guy is a dick. Fuck that shit, whatever. But Sargon instead is like, "Oh, I'm going to have a massive rant about this where I'm insanely butthurt." Like, how dare you? Do you know what you've done?
Who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
Yeah, and it's just like, what the fuck? Yeah. I would just be like, wow, that was kind of a dick move. And that's it. That's probably would be about it. And then if someone asked me about Ask FM, I'd be like, I didn't really like that parody account. It was a dick move.
Yeah, and the idea that like we were best buddies or something at this point was it's bullshit. Because if we were like genuinely friends, then he would have said something to me privately first. He would have just been like, "Look, this was like a genuine betrayal, and this actually genuinely hurt me." And if he'd behaved like that, maybe I would have reacted differently. But clearly, like, he did not react like a friend to this. Yeah. So the idea that
but like, he's developing this kind of cult of personality where like he is at the center of this, you know, rational, I don't know, orb. That's a weird But he's the center of this thing, and it's just like he is the core and the sun of this rational skeptic, whatever the fuck it is. And then if you cross the line in a way that he doesn't like, you just become Satan, and you're just a terrible human being and have to leave.
Yeah, he's got a lot of power over his fan base. They will bend over backwards. Like a significant number of them will bend over backwards to defend anything he says, including the 9/11 truth.
And they'll say to me like, he didn't say X, and then I'll be like, that is the tweet that we are responding to in this tweet chain, where he literally said it, and I'll be like, he did not. It's like, I just read it with my eyes, and it said that.
Yeah,
it's like you're lying. You're taking him out of context. You're misrepresenting him. It's like,
I mean, there are cases when he like.
He'd be like, I think the Earth is flat. But he didn't say the Earth is flat. But like, literally, that's the quote. Like he said, he didn't actually say the Earth is flat, guys. Calm down. This is just like hypothetical. And they will literally argue. Like I've actually had this argument a few times. That the thing that he said was not what he said. He actually said something else. It's like,
yeah. And it's sort of like his main argument, his main argument against Tom Bloke is just, well, he takes he only takes a small amount of the video and posts it to Twitter, and therefore it's like automatically out of context, and that's not how context works.
Yeah,
that's just
a lot of those clips, if you watch it in the full context, it's exactly the same. There's just some other bits around it that don't really impact the meaning.
Yeah,
because recently, Alex Jones had this rant, and he was talking about like penises becoming smaller and like testosterone problems with men, and like dicks are becoming tiny and whatever. And someone I talked to, like a lot of people saying that's out of context, and they just unfairly cut it out. But then people I know on Twitter were saying, I watched the whole thing. I watched the entire thing, and the meaning was not changed. He was just saying that our penises are getting smaller because of chemicals and shit. There was nothing in that clip, around that clip, that gave it better context. They just said you took the clip out of a larger video. That means that. Yeah.
This is the point, that you can't just say like something was taken out of context. You need to explain the context that that then changes the meaning of the video that's relevant to the criticism.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just a cop out.
Yeah, like if right after that Alex Jones had been like, is what someone stupid would have said. Anyways, blah blah blah. You'd be like, well, that kind of changes it all. But no.
Yeah. And it's the same with like, if I had it's not even like necessarily if someone stupid had said it, or if he was sort of like saying it in terms of like being hyperbolic, and he's like, oh well, that's but that's not actually happening, and something else is actually happening that's less extreme, or he was making a joke or something. Like there is genuine like context that can change the meaning of something. It's just like you need to explain it.
Yeah. Well, I think that like what Tom Bloke does reminds me a little bit of what Media Matters would do to Fox News back in the day, which is just take clips of Fox News, and then Bill O'Reilly would always be like, left-wing smear merchants, horrible losers, and George Soros jerks at Media Matters, take everything out of context, a bunch of liars, whatever. And that's just because they would take snippets of shows and just play them. And that's all they really did. And if you watch the original and then you watch the snippet, they're not really out of context. They're just like a part of the show. And if you watch the larger show, you're like, the rest of it is also stupid. You're like, the whole thing is stupid. The original is also stupid, you know? But it's because Fox News is an ideological enemy of Media Matters. Because Media Matters was obviously not a fan of Fox, so that makes them think that's out of context. Just like a lot of people are like, Tom Bloke is like my ideological enemy, and I hate him. He's a bad man. He touched me in inappropriate ways. I just made that up. But that means he is evil. He is bad. Even though he's not really taking you out of context. He's just playing you saying things. And you don't like it.
Yeah, this is the main. And I think Tom Bloke, like, I don't think Tom is like entirely above criticism. He's
Oh, I do.
He does bring on some of the hate like intentionally. Like he
oh yeah, we were talking about this earlier. Like when I was saying that I'm reticent to just say you are racist or you are a misogynist or you or whatever. He's one of those people that doesn't quite have that filter, so he'll just say you're a racist cunt. And that's why they hate him so much. And that's what this whole culture war shit's about. It's just like people who call us names that we don't like.
Yeah, I like how Sargon once described Tom Bloke as one of the worst of the SJWs, and it's like the worst he's done. Like out of all of the things that all of the evil social justice types, Tom, like the worst thing you've ever directly accused Tom of is take someone, is take someone out of context on Twitter. Is that really the worst thing social justice warriors have done? or is it just because they're criticizing you on the internet? Is that why?
There is some quality to that. Like, how were you taking it out of context, and how much were you taking it out of context? Because that could be disastrous. But I would not say he's taking anybody out of context in a particularly malicious or horrific way that I've seen.
Well, yeah, like the worst he's said about Sargon is that he's said some dumb things about political issues, though. So it's and comparing that to like and there are SJW types who have doxed people and have like accused people of rape, like Jenny McDermott for one.
Yeah,
I think
she doesn't like me.
Jenny
now.
is
Because I tweeted out that I was happy that her. Well, I said good when I heard that her channel died, and apparently she heard about this and she made a new channel, and her first video on it was about how I'm a misogynist pig because I said negative things about her, and then it ended. The video ended with someone farting on the camera, and it got taken down about 10 minutes after she uploaded it. And now it just says no video. But apparently it was about how I'm a horrible misogynist because I was glad that she was gone. And I mean, it was a bit pity on my behalf because our drama has been dead for like half a year or a year. So it was an unnecessary dig from me. But yeah, I mean, I didn't feel bad about it because she did like drama mongering on the whole skeptic feminist thing. Like my friend got killed by someone else on her channel. And she was just like Charming Man 93, like making drama videos and shit. So like Charming Man 93, like very similar individuals in ways. And
Keemstar 93.
So it's just like, fuck her, you know? I mean, she's just the same. And then she's making all these like stupid videos about like, I don't know. Fuck knows. I just saw some of the titles of her videos and I was like, she's the same jerk that she's always been. So when I heard her channel went down, I was just like, fine. Apparently she saw that. And now I'm a misogynist pig.
Oh well.
Yeah. Sorry. How did she?
It's not the worst. It's not the worst. I was just saying, like, even if you don't like Tom Bloke, he's clearly not the worst person on in the social justice.
Well, like the worst that he would probably do would be to call you a racist, misogynist, transphobe, whatever. Like call you stuff.
Yeah, say mean words to you on Twitter, and it's like,
yeah, and then some people take it more seriously. Like Kraut will be like, due to the hate laws in my country. That doesn't sound like him. How do I talk like him again? Due to the hate laws.
Due to the hate laws.
I could just say it. I could say it.
Due to the hate laws, hate speech laws in Germany, it's very dangerous to be called a racist.
By the way, you're fucking scum. And all Muslims are disgusting savages, but it's you who is a problem, not me, saying these racist things on Twitter. It's all your fault for calling me racist. That's the scary thing. That doesn't make sense. Like how he can say as many racist things as he possibly wants on his Twitter, but it's the people who call him racist who are the ones that will get him in trouble with the German authorities, not himself. How does that work?
Yeah, no, he's got to. Again, it's a sort of case of like he brings most of it on himself. Kraut is his own worst enemy.
Right, but I mean, that's the thing about like Sean and Jenny openly just said like you're racist, and Kraut was just like, and then he just went Hulk. He went into a rage. And that's the thing. Sometimes I'm like the good SJW because I don't call people racist so often or transphobic or misogynistic. And people like Mike Rowlands, they'll talk a lot more about transphobia. And it's not because I don't think transphobia doesn't exist. I absolutely do. And I think like Bering, for example, has made some hideously transphobic videos. But it's mainly just what I think is useful for like having a dialogue. And it doesn't seem to work anyways because I still get blocked by Sargon and he still thinks I'm a horrible regressive or something with no friends. So like, what can you do? You know, it's the whole cultural thing.
Yeah, it's like there's only so much you can really there's only so much you can really attempt. But like at least you're trying. which is.
I feel stupid for trying sometimes. I feel like
too.
I should just get on Twitter now and call some people racist. Totally. Like, who should I do? Like, Shoes in the chat. How about we just do a conspiracy where I'm just going to go on Twitter and just say Shoes is a massive racist. And then I can just finally be the bad SJW.
I don't think Shu. Yeah, well, Shu isn't racist.
She'll know about it, so it'll be fine. Like, she's got some pre-warning. Yeah, she said that you were like your little internet brother, baby brother person. But she probably doesn't think that now because you're a regressive scum and you're the enemy. So
I still like Shu, so
well, it's too bad.
I hope you still like me.
No, it's over. You just have to accept it.
Guess the blacks.
That's what I was going to talk about. The Belly and the Beast appearance that you did.
Oh my god, that was a.
I don't know. It's a verboten subject or something.
Oh no! Just that entire thing was a pathetic shitstorm, and I'm sort of ashamed that I wasted my time with that. I just had nothing better to do.
We don't know. It was kind of like this conservative web podcast or something. Podcast, YouTube show. The lady on the show said, "I just arrived in Germany. Or I don't know where it was."
Yeah, it's somewhere in Germany, and she'd seen she'd seen like Arab men with white women, and it was like disheartening to see this, and it was just like,
yeah, that's right. I can't see any actual like Germans.
Yeah, it's like, come on, like, who is going to? Can you really think I'm a bad person for calling that racist?
Right.
And then and then she was like, "Oh no, really, what I meant was like, it was bad because I saw some migrant-looking men." And it's like, okay, so you're looking at brown men, and that's.
But I actually thought I thought your performance on that was not ideal.
I agree. I had 3 hours sleep.
But I've thought about it and about why it wasn't ideal. And I think that it's because you were trying to make them care about something they don't care about. You were trying to make them care about the fact that she judged them for their skin. And it seemed that they got to a point where they were like, yeah, why are you trying to shame me?
Yeah,
why are you trying to shame me so much, man? But you're just a drag. Like, we should be allowed to say that there's too many brown people and you're just being a ninny. You're just being you're being a little nag. And that's because you were trying to get them to care about something they didn't. But that actually, it made you look bad almost, because it made it look like you were trying to just make these people believe something they didn't, which is that judging people by their skin is wrong. Because you're like, and you do realize that's judging people by their skin, right? And she's all like, well, yeah, whatever. And then like that, and then the Christensen dudes are like, come on, Spider, come on, jeez. Trying to make us care about racism. Fuck you.
That's kind of what I was confused about, because I thought like that's like the main criticism with like identity politics, is it's putting people into boxes based upon their skin color and stuff, and then and that's my criticism, is it's
but they don't care about it. Like the Matt is that his name, Christensen or whatever?
Yeah, Matt Christensen. And it's like,
I was saying, like, if there's like migrants in the country and they're brown and look like Arab or something, you'll kind of assume they're Muslim, and we don't like Muslims because of they're bad and because of the bad things happening in Germany. So that's perfectly reasonable. So they were saying that judging people in this fashion is not a problem to me or for her. So it sort of like seemed like you were trying to say, hey, please care about this. And they were saying like, we don't. Why are you nagging us about it? You know?
Yeah, it's kind of I got a bit autistic about it and started and was just like, I'm going to win this argument. I'm not going to shut up until I get them through this fucking syllogism that that it's called racism.
Right.
Because it's just like they were saying that I was slandering her for saying it, and it's just like, well, I don't. I'd rather be called the drama whore than a liar.
But what would you say to the, like, I don't know, practicality of Christensen's argument, which was if you just use Occam's razor or something, then I mean it's very weird because just because like someone's brown and Muslim and like seeing someone and being like, okay, they're in Germany and they're brown, so they're probably Muslim. All right, I understand that that is something that you might be able to do, but then saying that that is related to the Muslims who were sexually harassing women and stuff, it's not very fair to that individual.
Yeah, I mean, even then, I still think it's a little racist to be like, oh, they must be Muslims. But like that wasn't the only assumption she made.
Well, I'm saying if it was like kind of like just a simplest explanation kind of thing, because you probably get it wrong a bunch of times. Like that person's actually from a completely different country, not Muslim, you know. But and maybe you'd be more likely to get it right, like that person was from a Muslim country or something. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what he was saying, like the devil's advocate.
Yeah, kind of.
You were saying something. I was cutting off.
Oh, I can't even remember what I was saying now. Oh yeah, it was the fact that it wasn't just that. It was the whole fact that it wasn't just that he's a Muslim. It was also that they were Muslims. It was also the fact that it's like, oh, they're also migrants and they're also probably criminals and shit like that. And it's like, even if like I grant all of these like chances, like migrant crime, like migrants who are criminals are still like a significant minority. Like I agree that there's like
even if there was like
in that group,
even if there was some kind of like sexual harassment epidemic of some kind, that would only raise the possibility that that person was a sexual harasser or something, but the vast majority of people that you'd look at would not be.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's judging them.
They would just be random people,
of a minority, and that was what really made me find it extremely distasteful at best. So,
well, it's profiling. I mean,
yeah,
there are different forms of profiling, some of which may be less objectionable, like profiling based on, I can't remember. I haven't looked at profiling in a while, but I do know there is like looking at what countries they've come from. Behavioral profiling, that's what I'm looking for. How are they behaving? How are they acting? Like, are they acting aggressive? Are they acting nervous? Are they acting in a certain way? And maybe there would be some level of increased scrutiny if a certain group of people seem to be doing something more often. But generally, the kind of blanket way that profiling works, I think, is not effective, and it doesn't really achieve anything. It's basically just her walking around being like, God, I hate people having different skin. Ugh. And that people with different skin being with like people of my race. Ugh, gross. You know? Is that basically what she was saying?
Yeah. I just think that within the sort of like she's also quite Blonde is also quite well connected to the alt-right circles as well. So she's like she's given glowing endorsements of people like Millennial Woes and also Lana Lochtef. Both are extremely anti-Semitic. Both are hardcore white nationalists, and like I'm so sorry. I thought you were racist when you were saying like this actual like neo-Nazi white supremacist woman is a treasure to the West. Maybe, yeah. Blonde did say that. It was so I think a lot of it is it's almost a right-wing form of political correctness where it's like you're not like nothing is racist, nothing is sexist, nothing is homophobic, and you can't ever point it out.
I haven't heard that one before. That's a good one.
So
And then,
yeah,
because you said it, I also have to ask about the autistic thing. So you're being autistic about it. How do you feel about using autistic as a pejorative online?
There's a bit of me that doesn't like it. I try not to police it too much unless, even though I have said, look, I'm like actually autistic. So if someone's being a dick to me, and like is clearly aware that it makes me a little uncomfortable, then I'm gonna have a go at them for it. But if they're just sort of calling someone an autist on the internet, then it doesn't bother me too much.
Right, you actually are autistic.
Yeah, I'm actually on the spectrum.
Wait, so you said when you were being autistic on that show, did you mean literally?
Oh yeah, I literally meant that. Like I was
well,
literally,
that's fine.
Yeah, I was literally, I was literally sort of getting into my sort of obsessive like tendencies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean that doesn't seem like a good thing to have on the internet. Because I'm serious, because I mean that has become such a like big meme on the internet that, I mean, if you are autistic, isn't that just something that people will never stop bringing up? Because it's just like an easy place to go to just disparage you, just like, you're an autistic. Blah. Like even like Sargon with me was like, this is low level autistic screeching. I'm just like,
oh yeah,
I'm giving my opinion, you fucking moron. I'm just giving my fucking opinion about something. How's that low level? I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? I was like, he's like mentally, he's like a child. Like, what the fuck? Didn't you leave high school? You know, it's like these man babies. I don't understand.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's like, it seems a lot of people don't are just like afraid of being criticized, and they just sort of assume any criticism is like always inherently in bad faith, and therefore it must be like part of some secret conspiracy to take them down.
Oh, but it's also autistic. Like, what does that mean? When he was like, that's low level, like, because I mean, I can't criticize what he's saying, because whenever I say it, they're like, it's just a meme, it's just a prank. Like, hey, bro.
Oh yeah, the autistic screeching meme probably comes from the phenomenon that happens with more severe autism, a meltdown. So because people on the spectrum tend to have very odd senses, and have strange sort of reactions to like different sensory stimuli, it can then sort of just make them completely shut down and go and sort of go insane temporarily.
So an opinion somebody doesn't like is autistic screeching. That like it's automatically a meltdown, even if it's not. Like, it's perfectly calm in that video, just like making points.
Yeah, it's clearly just like a thought-terminating cliche at this point, and it's really just pathetic. It's sort of like a new version of LOL triggered, and I mean there's times when it's like accurate to use it, and I can understand why someone might say it, and then there's others where it's just you're just being a child.
I like the way Michael Rowland suggested some of those memes though, because he had like, you know,
I have to admit, Re is slightly different. Re came is really earlier, and the association with the autistic screeching thing is very, very recent. So I like the Re meme.
Well, I mean, have you seen the videos of frogs going Re?
Yeah, it's the frog.
It's incredible. They actually make the funniest sounds I've ever heard. They're like,
I know, it's amazing.
Someone's gonna make that.
Yeah, so there are people who use re and autistic screeching sort of interchangeably, but those people are morons.
Yeah, that was kind of like an accidental synergy, just like they sort of came together separately, and they just seemed to fit, so people combined them. But I guess, like, I don't know, autistic frogs. I've never seen those.
I don't think frogs can be autistic. I don't think they have enough higher brain functions to for that kind of disorder to occur.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, actually, I like Michael Rowland's remixes of the autistic screeching memes are actually pretty good because he just kind of sanitizes them and makes them friendly. So like the original was like Jontron and Sargon. It's just like rational debate, and then the person is going "Rah," and they're like, and it's like autistic screeching, and then Michael changed it to like misogynistic, transphobic bullshit or something, like them when they're them shaking hands, and the like screeching person is like reasonable criticisms, and I was like, yeah, that's quite good. Because he's just like, he may be standing funny, but he's got some reasonable criticisms for your transphobic, misogynistic garbage. And I was like, I much prefer that meme. Like, that meme was a lot better.
I fucking hated that meme from that guy T. It was like a bunch of people rational debates, and it had fucking edgy sphinx in it.
Yeah. And then they're like,
reasonable discussion with like
about how children are property. And he was like, it's like, how do you feel about the, I don't know, mass killing of children? He's like, I don't like the destruction of property. So it's like, seriously, that's your takeaway.
Like Edgy is someone who literally wants dissenters shot on sight. So it's like, yeah, he isn't really a paragon of reasonable, rational discussion.
Yeah,
just saying, T.
Right, I mean, the rest of them are not too good when it comes to reasonable, rational debate. They say like, you should fucking hang yourself. Get the throat so it burns your throat and you die. So rational. Children are property. We all own children. P.S. Hitler was a good man. It's like, oh yeah, correct. You guys are really tearing it up with this rational debate stuff. We could never hope to have such reasonable debates on our side.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the most fucked up things that people on my side have said. And it's like, Angry Napoleon or whatever. It said some like pro pedo shit, but he's not even like
he was mocking
my side.
He was mocking Amos Yeon, if I recall correctly.
Right. Well, he suffers from edgelordism. Angry Napoleon. He's got the disease. I increasingly think of it as a condition called having edgelordism, where the only way that you can respond to something is by trying to be as offensive as you possibly can, and it's like you're sick, and people have to understand that you can't help it because you've got such a desire to fit in and be cool that that's the only way you can respond. So, like, you know what? It's really sad that they killed children. It'd be like, well, they should have raped them first. Here's a meme, and you're like, you've got edgelordism.
Yeah, I see a lot of like that edgelordism that occurs on Twitter, where like someone will be like, "Hey guys, do you think you're taking this a little too far?" And then they'll just sort of like double down on the memes.
And they're like, "Rare, rare." You're like, all right, jeez, I was just saying.
It's I've seen other people do it before, and it's like, do you really think like do you really think this like shit you're saying about Hitler is the best idea? And it's like, oh, Hitler did nothing wrong. Like okay,
the Holocaust didn't happen, and I'm only saying that to offend you who criticized me. And you're like, well, okay, well that seems unnecessary, but all right, if that's what you need to do.
Is there nothing more productive that you could do?
Oh yeah, and everyone's talking about in the chat. Someone mentioned Kathy Griffith.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of in two minds about the Kathy Griffith thing. I don't know. Like a part of me is like people really fucking hate Trump, and I can understand why. So letting out a bit of frustration is something that really doesn't bother me. And he is a political figure, but at the same time, yeah, when you're holding someone's severed head, that's.
I am against it primarily because it's the president, and I think that's kind of fucked up. Like, I mean, America is free and it's in its own way compared to other countries, and he was democratically elected.
Well, yeah, I guess like people had to vote for him.
Yeah. So, well, I just say that because of the Electoral College and the popular vote, but I don't think it's right, because it's kind of like provoking, or at least encouraging, or saying violence against the president's okay. And as much as I hate Trump, I would never condone. I mean, conceivably, it's in some alternative universe I could say assassinate a U.S. president, but I couldn't possibly say that now. No matter how, even though it's terrible,
not in the current context.
Yeah, until he became like hardcore fascist, like dictator. Yeah. Then I'd be like, all right. Well,
it's like the circumstances right now are not extreme enough to endorse something like that.
Right. So I think it's wrong. I don't think it's something that you should be able to do. Illegal? I don't know, but I definitely wasn't a fan.
No, it's definitely not illegal. What she did was not like a legitimate threat. It was just it was more of a political statement. It wasn't like openly advocating someone's death. So no.
Yeah, but I guess it might normalize the idea of violence against the president, because I mean they also did the same thing with Obama. There was lots of people who were like, we've got to get Obama out of the White House and we should use our Second Amendment rights or whatever. And you're like, that's kind of like threatening the life of the president.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if you're actually specifically saying that, then that's a little different than like posting a picture of Obama's severed head.
No, because then they can just spin it and be like, no, we meant resistance when the government comes for us. That's what we were saying.
Oh yeah. Oh, that pisses me off when because I've seen like quite a few right wingers, especially the alt right. They always fucking masturbate over this idea of like civil war and finally getting rid of the blacks, and it's like you're basically asking for people to like shoot you. You're asking for people to like you're asking to get arrested at this point.
Right.
There's no other way to really say it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little pathetic.
I'm not really a fan of violent rhetoric or imagery around elected leaders. It just makes me uncomfortable. Even if it's Trump.
Yeah, I can understand.
I mean, Trump's a douche, but I mean, him being assassinated would be a disaster. So,
yeah, that'd
be a clusterfuck.
Yeah, that's the main thing when it comes to like political assassination. Is it tends to, especially in a stable democracy, it tends to do more harm than good.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like punching Richard Spencer as well. That was the main that was like my main criticism is that like in terms of the wider context, punching Richard Spencer hasn't done any good. If it was like genuinely effective in like preventing the rise of fascism, then like maybe Antifa would have a point. Maybe, but I don't think they're helping the cause. So like they have no good reason. All they're doing at that point is just random street violence.
I'm mainly concerned about the repercussions. And I did see some pushback that was like, oh, so you're saying you don't even care about the violence. You don't even care about what happens to this man. You just care about the repercussions. Like, yeah, I don't really care about what happens to Richard Spencer. Do I care if he gets punched in the head? No. I don't care about
Yeah,
him getting punched in the
not
head.
really. I really don't I really don't have much love for Richard Spencer, and he's a bit of a dick, and yeah, I really I don't have a huge amount of sympathy or care for his well-being, but I respect his rights.
Yeah.
And I think that says more about I think that says more about someone's principles than I think that says more about someone's principles than whether or not they care about someone. Because it's like, okay, so I don't have to be sad that Richard Spencer got punched in the face to be like, okay, that was bullshit.
Yeah, but for me, it's not even about like his rights. It's more like, will somebody else come back and punch someone that I don't want punched? Will there be repercussions? Is it just an escalation?
Yeah, that's the other thing, and that's what really that's my main criticism about Sargon's behavior with Antifa, where he's basically he posted like information from an Antifa member, an alleged Antifa member, or some professor, and it's like, okay, so Paul accused him of being Antifa, and so you're saying to like over 500,000 people that this guy is Antifa and he's like actually a criminal, and oh yeah, here's all of his personal information. Is that maybe arguably it doesn't count as doxing because the information's already public, but like I really can't see how this is justifiable, because you're just helping to fuel a political witch hunt, and that's like that's going to escalate. This is like we're already seeing that escalation. If we've seen like the rise in like these like spats and skirmishes between like right-wing groups and Antifa. That's like a genuine fear.
Isn't the justification?
This is going to get worse.
The justification that Sargon had was that he was right? Like it was the guy.
Well, maybe he could have been the guy. I don't know, but
I think it turned out to be the guy. I may be wrong.
Okay, I mean, like that's like justifying using a broken clock as it's right twice a day. It's like I don't care if you are accusing people without sufficient evidence, then that's on you.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it like, oh, it turned out not to have the horrible consequences this time because like I was right this once. Doesn't matter. And even then, it's still a hardcore political witch hunt when you're saying, oh yeah, this is where this guy works, this is where this guy lives, this is where this is his what his Twitter account used to be like. He's literally asking for people to go to like go and harass them.
The problem there is it's just encouraging vigilante street justice in terms of it's not like any actual justice. Like it's not that person being taken in and then processed. It's just like random people. You don't know who the fuck they are, what they're capable of, or what they might do. And the thing is, with the millennial woes, and I could turn around and say, fuck millennial woes. He's a piece of shit. I don't care if random people go to his house and kill the fuck out of him. But then who would complain about shit like that? Probably Sargon. Be like, look at these disgusting social justice people who want millennial woes to be murdered at his house. And be like, well, that's what you wanted about the guy with the bike lock. So what's the difference?
And it's like, I really would, that would be a bad thing if millennial woes were to be, like, was to have like random people come and shoot him. So it's like, that's something I don't want to happen. So, like, so
if somebody hates
and I don't want it to happen.
They might be able to justify that. Exactly like the bike lock guy. The bike lock guy committed a crime. You'd be like, yeah, but millennial woes is like hardcore racist, and he's making society worse, and he's got to be stopped for his.
And he also advocates like violent fucking. He's been sort of like hardcore, like low key supporting terrorism for a while. It's just he's very good with like the way he words things so that he has enough plausible deniability. It's like, oh yeah, you know, like well, what was it? It's impossible to achieve ethno-nationalism peacefully, but we should still achieve ethno-nationalism. He hasn't directly said ethno-nationalism is something that that needs to be done violently, and we need to do this violently. But you know, he said that in so many words.
He did say that he wanted to torpedo migrant boats.
Oh, did he?
I'm not sure how he phrased it. If he phrased it as like, that would be a good idea, or we should do that, or I'm advocating for that, or I think he said something like, we might get to the point where we just have to torpedo migrant boats.
Oh yeah, that's another thing Woes does as well. Is he does things like that where he'll just he'll talk about it in a like a hypothetical sense, like we're almost at the point where we need to do this.
Yeah. Conceivably, in the future,
well, I'm not saying I'm not saying we have to do it. Yeah, I'm just, you know, saying that we might have to do it at some point.
Oh well, there's an interesting YouTube channel called The Mower, which is this guy called Johnny Ropotter, and he does like.
Oh, I mirrored one of his videos after he got copyright struck by Woes.
Yeah, well, he did one, Meet Millennial Woes, YouTube's Führer in a dressing gown, and that's got the clip. It's got the clip of him talking about torpedoing the boats.
Oh, I might have
wondering where
missed that when I uploaded that.
It's good. It just includes lots of the most fucked up things that he said in one video.
Fair enough.
And there's some sections where he's kind of like fantasizing about violence and a race war, basically.
That doesn't surprise me.
He's like, sometime in the future, we may have to be squirming around in different minorities' intestines and fighting with bayonets. And I'm not saying it's going to be a great day, but I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, the ones who like never shut up about violent revolution, the ones who clearly want it to happen.
All right. Well, I think we've talked about a wide range of things. Unless there's anything I've missed. Is there any other topics? We've covered the culture war, Kraut's and Moron, Sargon is lame, parody accounts, autism. It's probably just about everything. Fuck, it's gonna be something. Any suggestions from the chat? I don't know. I think the chat is falling behind. So, oh no, talk about your cat. That sounds boring.
Oh well, I mean, cat's not that boring. Can't be. Cats are nice. So dogs. I like animals.
I'm just trying to remember what we were talking about with our plan. Was like to call
everyone
racist.
Our
it's not supposed to be racist. I mean, if we're gonna get into doxing, count me out. I'm not keen.
I would avoid doxing people as well.
But we could start sucker punching.
It's bad for the culture war.
How about sucker punching?
Ooh, sucker punching. Well, it depends on who we're sucker punching and when.
Oh, okay.
If they're Nazis, then it's okay.
Okay, let's become Nazi hunters.
Yeah, let's join Antifa.
That sounds pretty good.
I've already got some black clothes and a scarf. Let's do it. Let's go punch some Nazis.
Yeah, what was the deal with that video you made? You're like you had a sword and you're like wearing a backpack and shit.
Oh yeah. No, I was just sort of satirizing the culture war mentality.
I wonder if people do that while they're using Twitter. Interesting.
It would be amusing if it turns out like Sargon secretly talks about the culture war and he calls it like a culture war because he's secretly like putting on camo gear and like he thinks he's like actually fighting a war against the social justice warriors. It'd be great.
Would the like panacea outcome of the culture war be there'd be restrictions on immigration. Everybody would call it Islamic terrorism. Any old fuckstick would be able to speak at a university. There'd be like a wealth of butts in video games, and you'd be able to kill hookers in like every game, even if it was like for no reason. It's just
why, guys, why can't you just mods? Mods, you like if you want something in a game, you can get it in mods. Just
is there like a hooker killing mod for like every game? You're like, you're playing Tetris. You're like, this is PC shit. Like, how do I kill a hooker in this game?
Yeah, if there is a game, it can that something can probably be done to it to make it to make that a mod.
Yeah.
I
mean, because partly like Anita Sarkeesian was complaining about things like in Hitman, you can kill prostitutes and just sort of like do whatever you want with their dead bodies and shit. And I don't know.
It's like you can do that with anyone though. You can move around like any dead bodies. It's part of the mechanics of the game, and you can kill anyone in the game. So
well, she was saying stuff like they've been put there strategically so that you kill them, so that you feel compelled to kill them and then mess around with the bodies and shit. Like it was. Some
they're actually part of. They're there to make the stealth a little harder.
They are.
To sort of, like,
I haven't even played it, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, they're put there as like an extra obstacle. So you've got to like sneak past them so you can avoid one of the guards.
But you can also kill them.
Oh yeah, you can also kill them, but you're penalized for it.
Oh, yeah.
The Hitman games, yeah, you're penalized for killing anyone who isn't your target.
Oh, okay. So I guess she was complaining that. Well, I mean, then she'd be complaining that there was a part of the game that was set in a strip club that had hookers in it, and that you can kill any character. So you kind of, if you might,
that's the point. It's like it's like criticizing I don't know, Spider-Man games for the fact that you can jump off the Empire State Building and die. It's like, no, this is part of the mechanics of the game. It's not incentivizing you to do that.
What if they had a scene with like a setting with like male strippers, and then you can kill the male strippers? I wonder if it'd be like that's great.
Yeah, I mean there are male strippers in Fallout New Vegas, which you can kill anyone in Fallout New Vegas except for the kids. You can't kill children.
Run amok.
There are killable children mods. I can't be bothered to install them though. I've got so many mods.
There's no children. Yeah.
I have so many mods I couldn't be bothered to install another one that allows me to kill kids.
Although I will say, in Grand Theft Auto 5, I did find it weird that the 3 protagonists were all men. And I was like, really? They can throw in like someone else, like a woman or I don't know.
I think that says everything about the. I think that says more about the criminal stereotypes, because if you looked at them, they're all 3 of them are criminal stereotypes, right? You have
the black dude is like really like, hey man, I'm black. What's up, yo?
Yeah, you have the black ghetto criminal stereotype. You have the white collar criminal guy, and then you have the sort of like crazy
redneck
dude. Yeah. So they're all, and I think that there really aren't many criminal stereotypes of women.
Yeah.
Because GTA is supposed to be like a satire of like general American culture. So I think there's an argument to be had that it's not necessarily. It's almost it's more like a mirror to our culture rather than a.
Then what if the next game had a trans black man? A trans Muslim man, in who was you couldn't be in a wheelchair. That would be too hard to like play
program.
Who had
actually it would be interesting actually to see like a game where you actually have a character in a wheelchair, just to see how like even like an action game where you actually have to like move around. It would be interesting. Because there was a game recently. It's called it's like the Surge or something, where your character actually is paralyzed from the below the waist.
But they might be
like, he has like he has an exosuit, so yeah, it doesn't
actually. Like, all right, you got to case the joint. Like, you got to get in there fast, or whatever. And then you get to the scene, and there's like only stairs, and you're like, we got a problem. I can't get in. Like,
yeah, no, but it would be interesting because like there would be a situation where someone kicked you out of the wheelchair, and you've got to basically crawl over to it.
It would be hard to commit crimes if you couldn't access all of the places. Like, it was like run upstairs and blow open the safe. You're like, can't really get up the stairs. Like, yeah. And then what would you do? There'd be like some kind of like puzzle game where you're like hitting the buttons trying to crawl up the stairs.
I don't know. Maybe. God. You gotta like climb up the stairs with just your arms. And there's a quick timer, and there's a timer going down as the cops are going to arrive. And they just find you in the middle of the stairs. Click, left click, right click, left click, right click. Because it'd be great.
What's this guy trying to do? What a fool! Let's take him to prison. You're like, fuck. We found him stuck on the stairs.
It's like insane difficulty. You're in a wheelchair.
Yeah, like I don't know. Just, I mean, I'd be curious to know what kind of games, like, and now we've actually started unironically talking about Anita Sarkeesian, but I'd be keen to see what kind of games she would be ideal to her, or like the kind of things that she'd want to.
Well, that was the weird thing, because and I like of all the like the videos Thunderfoot has done, it was quite interesting to see him do a video, basically using Anita to criticize her own game idea. It was actually I can't remember specifically. It was some it was like a game with like this female protagonist who was like beating up all the men. It was like it was basically the femme fatale trope.
Beating up all the men.
Yeah, I can't remember it specifically, but it was like a female hero, and she was like a saving the world or something.
But it is a problem though if her solution is just to say it's all right for women to do whatever they want against men, and unless it's like a reaction to male dominance in society now, so it's kind of like a counterbalance to that or something. But she would still like problematically be saying that violence against men is okay, so that would also be problematic.
Stop saying that word.
Unless it's fine and it's not problematic at all. Sorry.
Everything is racist. Everything is sexist. You know.
I feel like you would have to have a kind of equity of violence between a variety of different people in the game.
Well, that's the point. That's actually one of the things I have always liked about more like open world games, is that it's just like there's so much more freedom.
That's why I thought that it was weird that you were tied to these three male protagonists, because they didn't give you a bit more variety in terms of who you can be in the world when you go around it. You're forced to just be one of these three dudes.
Well, I guess in the story you can only do that, but in the multiplayer you can play as female.
Oh, okay. I mean, when I play like Elder Scrolls and Mass Effect, I usually end up for some reason being a black woman with an afro, because it's like I want to be like the thing that's least like me. So it's just kind of fun.
I do tend to play female characters in games if I can.
Yeah, they would have to figure out some perfect female criminal to be in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, like, if they had like a female criminal stereotype.
Maybe women should commit more crimes, then they'd get more representation.
Yeah.
They could help.
Oh, that'd be music. The solution to lack of female representation in Grand Theft Auto is women should commit more crimes.
Mm.
Then they'll create like the female criminal stereotype, and it'll be done. Maybe like the only female criminal stereotype I can actually think of that like exists is the teacher that bangs her students.
Oh, you're thinking of real ones. I can think of fictional ones, which is like cat burglar.
Oh yeah,
But that's like sexy.
Yeah, that's a little it's a little cheesy.
Yeah, I mean the female teacher that sleeps with the student might actually happen.
Yeah, so
And it's funny because that's one of the things that I disagree with TYT or the Young Turks on, is that whenever one of those stories comes up, Cenk is always like, "Oh, come on, it's fantastic!" Like, "Ah, come on, if I was a boy."
Oh yeah, that pisses me off.
He always is like, "That sounds awesome."
Yeah,
it's like his favorite thing.
It is, and it just shows that Cenk is a bit of a perv, and he just like projects that onto like every teenage boy.
Yeah,
and it's like, look, come on, Cenk, stop it.
Yeah,
stop it. There's like an imbalance of power there. Even if you don't want to argue about the whole age thing, it's like if someone is your teacher, they are in a position of like authority over you, so you can't really just a bit dodgy to start like suggesting that it's a good thing.
Also, they're also like, it depends if the teacher's hot or something, like, but it's such a massive abuse of power. Yeah, because it'd never be like if a male teacher did it to a female student, they'd be like, what was he attractive? Like, no one would ever say that. That would never happen.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
You see a picture of him, he's like a male model, like, you're like,
yeah,
oh, fine.
Yeah. Someone, some man who's like in his like 40s, and he's like considered attractive. Like, if he was fucking some 15, 16-year-old girl, people would call him a fucking pedo.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say, oh god, oh god, how lucky she is.
And even worse, that was a student. Yeah.
Yeah, and even worse if he was actually like a teacher and yeah, and she was a student. Like,
yeah.
So
sure,
yeah,
I think I could make something about some points about misogyny. That some feminist point about Cenk. Well, he's not a feminist though.
Oh no, I think Cenk is a feminist. He does consider himself one.
He's a feminist in the sense that he's like, yeah, I'm for like women's rights and for all the kind of wishy-washy shit, but he's not like a dedicated feminist. He's not like, that's a part of him that really defines him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's more like, he's one of those like kind of easy feminists. Like, oh yeah, I'd call myself a feminist.
Coffee shop feminist.
Yeah, they're not really like really clued in or tied into the concepts that hard like well-read feminists care about, you know.
Fair enough.
But at the same time, he's got this like weird, I guess it's misogyny concerning those kinds of situations.
I don't even think it's misogyny. I think it's the other way around. I think it's I think it's being anti-male. Because clearly he just doesn't.
Misandry.
Yeah, it's misandry. He's treating like.
But it's also misogyny in the sense that it's like, yeah, you banged a woman. You're the man. You're an alpha.
Okay, so how is that? How is that misogynistic? He's saying that
because it's kind of like saying like
any sex from a woman, even if it's not consensual, is a good thing. It's yeah. Like I think that's like, I mean, imagine saying like any sex from a white person is like okay, and like white people legally getting away with rape in certain situations because people said, oh, but they were a hot white person. This isn't like negative stereotypes about white people. This isn't like anti-white. This is privilege. This is more of a form of supremacy than the other way around.
But I think it's saying that sex with women is a form of like attainment and achievement or whatever. And it would be like saying, if I applied that logic to what you just said, I guess it'd be like banging a white person is a form of achievement or attainment. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like suggesting that their sexuality is more valuable than yours. So
well, or defining yourself via that person, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
I see your point.
that was kind of, and that was kind of why I originally quite liked MGTOW.
Oh, I
Because
got you. Yeah, I see what you mean. It took me a
yeah,
while.
because
Yeah.
yeah, because they sort of they sort of rejected that attitude of like, oh yeah, it's great that like you're only like valuable as a man if women are attracted to you or women like you or something like that. And I thought it was I thought it was that there was a positive aspect to some MGTOW philosophy, but it just started getting so fucking insane. And the purity test just got more and more crazy. And then I got into some private groups, and they were like promoting like women getting beaten up by men in videos and shit. And I was just like, no, this is not something I can associate with. And then I like this whole hypergamy thing started showing up, and that was just that was kind of like the final straw for me. To just stop associating with MGTOW and actually do like several videos just shitting on them was just the way they were talking about like this junk science, because I just hate when people start using junk science for basically anything. And this was like a perfect example of it. And Teal Deal was promoting it. It pissed me off.
Do you mean when they beat women that it was non-consensual beating, or was it like the women wanted to take part in this for some reason?
No, no, with hypergamy, that's that's the idea that like women are sort of like biologically programmed to be interested in men for their money, and their social status and stuff.
But you said they wanted to beat women on video.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that was something else. It's like that was the promotion of like hitting women back or something. Like because women are because it's sort of like an overcompensation against the whole don't hit a girl stuff.
Oh, I mean, is that the beat a violent bitch thing? Wasn't that
no?
But that's beating back, right? But it's saying that
yeah.
when a woman does something bad to you, you return like twofold.
Oh yeah. The Paul Elam article was actually it was actually specifically about domestic abusers. So as much as I thought it was,
I don't. That's not. That's not.
I still think
response to being abused is just to be as abusive or more. I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Help and support.
Like, I mean, I could understand why, but I still didn't agree with it.
That's kind of vengeance based.
Yeah.
Rather than saying like, you should have some resources, you should have some places you can go, people you can talk to, a way of getting out of this, getting away from this shit.
Even in the article, Paul says, look, like, don't do this. Don't actually do this. It's not the way to go. It's not the right way to go about it. The bit before was actually satirical.
Oh, okay. I think, but I think that he, that's the worst phrase, hoists himself on his own petard. Is that even a saying? I think it is.
Yeah, he hangs himself with his own words.
By making a satire or a parody that people will think is serious and then associate that with men's rights.
Yeah, if you actually read the article, it's if you actually read the article, he actually does specifically say it's satirical in it.
Yeah, but I think he's hurting himself with the like. I was saying it. If it is satire, he's hurting himself with his own satire, basically, because people are going to look at that and be like, "That guy is psycho," and he's like, "No, it was a satire," and they're like, "Bullshit." Yeah. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. There was that like how to like feminist ways to raise your son or something, and then and like the first one was abort him, and it was like it was like obvious like anti-feminist satire. But a lot of people didn't realize that and thought it was actually like real.
That doesn't sound as bad to me as the beating one. I mean, it sounds bad, I guess, but that just sounds kind of bitter. I mean, what's he condoning there? He's feminists are not going to be like, well, Pauline Lamb's got a good idea. I should abort my baby. But people might be like, yeah, I'll fucking punch that bitch.
Oh no! That other article wasn't done by Paul Elam. It was done by someone else. But yeah.
Oh right, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, no, I see
that
the
just
point.
sounds like a dick thing to say. It doesn't sound like it's actually condoning people do anything.
No, I see your point.
Hmm. God damn it! I've been trying to think this whole time about how, saying it's okay for boys to sleep with teachers is misogynistic. But it's hard to come up with something. That was such a good point. God damn it! I'll just think about it later. I'll just have to write some notes. But I have to make it misogyny. I have to.
You have to find a way to argue that it's misogynistic.
My fucking ideology demands it. Because I hate men. Not really. Anyways, I think we could probably wrap it up because it's been, I don't know, 2-something hours.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know if there's really another topic we could talk about now. I can't think of anything.
Well, I just feel like all of the drama shit will just keep flowing around, and
yeah, and the shit that some of these people did is just insane, and I just don't want to I can't fan the flames of this bullshit anymore.
right.
So I'm trying to avoid it, and I did talk about drama on the stream, but that's about as far as I'm going to go.
It was a lot milder than I was expecting. I thought we'd talk about a lot more drama, but
Yeah.
not really.
We stayed on like political and social issues more, which is good.
What's the deal with that Fox in the West guy keeps making these streams that like the trial of somebody? Like there was the trial of you, and then there was the trial of Kraut. Like what are these trials?
He's done a Kraut trial, yeah.
Yeah, but I flicked through
it.
I flicked through it a bit, and I was just like, I'm not interested in anything they're talking about, so I just didn't bother. But like, what are the trials? Why are people on trial? Is this Soviet Russia? I don't know.
Yeah,
To the gulag.
I mean, yeah, that I think that the point is that Fox very much wants like people to be able to sort of address their critics and critics to address certain people. I would say he's not necessarily the best mod when it comes to this stuff, especially when you've got someone about as loud and angry as Kraut. But I'll hand him that his heart's in the right place, and I think he's trying. He's trying to be he's definitely like being honest about things, so I have a lot of respect for that.
You know, there's this whole like my side, your side, that side, this side thing. Everything's sides, and like tribes and groups and shit. I really don't think about it that way. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that because I'm friends with like Christy Winters and Mike Rowlands and Steve Shives and a variety of other people. And yeah, I do consider them my friends, but that's just because they haven't been massive twats to me. And they haven't said things that, I mean, they've said plenty of things I disagree with, but they haven't said things that like just offend me to the point where I'm like, I cannot associate with them. And I've just talked to a lot of people who are like, how dare you be friends with them? Oh, you're friends with these people. And I'll be friends with anyone who not horrible.
I don't even know what the worst thing Christy Winters has done. I mean, I think she was a little she did sort of
she's been hostile.
Yeah, I guess she's been a bit hostile. I think she was a bit done with the whole Sargon thing when he made some joke about domestic violence in India or something. It was an obvious joke, and
yeah, she can be nitpicky, I guess.
Yeah, she was trying to be quite nitpicky about that and saying, "Oh no, I can prove it wasn't a joke," and it's like, but everyone else worked it out, so clearly there's something. Yeah, but anyway, and that's the thing. It's like
the sides.
There are legitimate cases of certain people being taken out of context and being misrepresented. And I think that's one of the things that's then used to fuel this like the hate train of people like Tom Bloke.
Yeah. And that everybody fits on some side of some kind.
Yeah.
Because I found for like quite a long time that me just being associated with Christy Winters because I consider her my friend is like this extremely horrible thing. But then, I mean, Kraut's like buddies with like Naked Ape, who I think is a huge douchebag and a dick. And then Jeff Holiday is
like
friends with
buddy-
Bering.
And Blonde as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I
Kraut's also
think
buddy
Jeff
with
is a
like,
different human being than Bering. I don't think they're the same person. I can talk to Jeff. I can really fucking hate Bering and just think he can go to hell, and then turn around and talk to Jeff, who is his friend, and not have the exact same approach to Jeff that I do to Bering. Like, it's not difficult for me. But people can't do that. They can't like what's the word? Compartmentalize the people they know. It's just them, the blob. I hate you all. You know what I mean?
And Kraut as well. He just recently, like he invited Edgy Sphinx to come back to YouTube. He then did a stream with him bashing on me, which he then made private. But I don't know the story around that. But there was that stream like was there. So it's like how like if you're going to talk about people's like associations being like so fucking bad, honestly, you'll not really want to talk about that.
Yeah, and I mean, going on that stream with a whole bunch of people laughing about Heather Annabelle's death from Skeptic Feminist.
He did apologize for that. I think he said.
I know, but like
admitted that was a
Kevin
mistake.
Logan apologized to Thunderfoot. Does that prevent Kraut from putting Kevin Logan in his video saying Kevin Logan laughed at Thunderfoot's dad's death? It was like, he apologized, Kraut. You apologized too. So are you saying
that's true.
Are you saying fuck your apology? Like, we shouldn't accept it? No, your apology's garbage, just like apparently Kevin Logan's was. Like, what are the standards? How do you apply this? Are apologies valid or aren't they? Whereas Jenny McDermott, whatever. I mean, she never apologized.
Oh yeah. Jenny never apologized, and I don't know if she could be sincere in an apology anyway.
Well, but Kevin did, and he's still
Kevin
like,
was, yeah.
Kevin Logan laughed at Thunderfoot's. Well, you laughed at my friend's death and you apologized. So do I accept that, or do I pull a Kraut and say fuck you? Like,
yeah, it's like it's sort of like this is the reason I don't like this cultural rhetoric, because it's just used to as an excuse to be hypocritical.
Yeah, and the culture war is kind of like, because we are fighting this enemy, we have to use their tactics. And it's okay when we use these tactics because they're going to use them anyways, and we're just preempting their use. And then it's like, yeah, but basically you are them. But I think we've already talked about this earlier. So we're just
I think we're rehashing topics now.
We're in a loop. We'll just start again. Anyways, I think we've covered basically everything. Yeah. I don't know how to professionally finish a stream. Chris Cornell died, everyone. Life is terrible.
Is it bad that I don't know who that is?
The lead singer of Soundgarden and Audioslave.
Yeah, I still don't know who that is. I don't really have a specific music that I like. I don't pay attention to it. I just sort of like listen to random shit.
Disgusting. We could end it on that note of
of I'm evil
and mutual disgust. Anyways,
persona non grata for the SJW community now.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. I thought you were going to